Well, Speaker, there are very few questions left to be asked, but actually there are loads of questions still to be asked, which is an indication of the mess that you're in. Could I just ask for the Chair and the Interim DG, actually, I'm going to go back 3.5 months. Ryan Tubridy said on his radio show on the 16th of March that he was stepping down from the Late Late Show at the end of that season. The following day, on a national holiday, the Chair of the Audit and Risk Committee gets contacted by Deloitte to say there's a problem. Now, I think that's an incredible coincidence of timing, isn't it? Or perhaps someone else in RTE knew before the 16th of March that there was a problem. So will you clarify that for me, please?
I can clarify that because obviously it's material here. So I went and checked to find out the date that Ryan Tubridy had a meeting with the Director of Content, and it was, I think it was 3 or 4 days before Patrick's Day. Definitely, because I looked.
So he knew that this was coming, so?
No, he didn't know it was coming.
Oh.
Yeah, he did not know
so
it was coming.
no one in RTE knew before the 16th of March. Ryan Tubridy makes this announcement out of the blue. And then the following day, just by coincidence, on a public holiday.
Well, if you think about it, so when it was discovered, that was obviously by the auditors, there was something unusual going on. That was the beginning of a process. So Ryan Tubridy wouldn't have been aware that these invoices, which were lawful, by the way, from his point of view, had been discovered.
Did anyone here have any contact to know anything about the invoices before the 16th of March?
Can I just say on that, Deputy, what was raised by the auditors with Anne on the 17th of March was about 2 payments. We had no idea who or what these were about.
So just to clarify, nobody here had any contacts or knew anything about this before the 17th of March? No. No, everyone? No one at all? Okay. Second of all, Dee Forbes. So last Friday, we met as a committee and it was agreed that we would invite you in. We'd also be inviting in the DG. PAC had met that morning and had agreed the same thing, they'd be meeting tomorrow. So you knew last Friday that this was going to be before the Oireachtas this week, okay? Now, did you ask Dee Forbes to resign? Did RT call on Dee Forbes to resign?
When the Grant Thornton report was delivered to the Audit and Risk Committee, the Audit and Risk Committee made recommendations, and one of those recommendations was to ask for her resignation. And
did you ask for it?
I did.
On Monday?
On the Friday.
When you knew that we were raising this and this was going before the committee? And you thought that it was a good idea to call it on the person, the chief witness, you could say?
I didn't know that, like, I'm telling you.
You knew this was happening. This had blown up on Thursday.
Actually, I didn't know that this was happening.
Well, the statement was released before Friday.
No, I'm talking about the previous Friday.
Yeah, so basically what we have here is Hamlet without the prince, okay? Dee Forbes isn't here with us today, who would be an invaluable witness. You asked her to resign last Friday. Is that what you're telling us?
No, I'm not telling you that. I said the previous Friday to that.
The previous Friday?
16th, just for the record.
And would you not have thought that we as an Oireachtas would want to investigate this and that the DG in situ would be someone who could give us some accountability, give the public out there, people who are watching today, some accountability? Would you not have, when it was, we were told that her resignation was tendered last Monday, you accepted the resignation?
That's correct.
Why did you accept the resignation? Could you not have invoked clauses to ensure that the key witness would be here to answer questions, would be that we could compel that person who would still be in situ to answer the questions that the people of the country deserve to hear the answers to?
Yeah, perhaps, and she still has the option to come before the committee.
She has the option, but not as DG of RTE. Did you meet as a committee to discuss this?
Well, of course we met as a committee.
And you made an agreement as a committee?
The recommendation, as I said, from the Audit and Risk Committee was to ask for a resignation, and that was then affirmed to the board on the Monday.
Is there a clawback and malice clause in her contract?
Is
there a clawback clause, and will RTE be seeking compensation for monies lost?
I can't.
Has anyone even looked at that? Will you seek a reimbursement?
Can I just say that there's nothing to say that she personally gained from this.
No, but the organisation lost. The country, the taxpayers lost.
Yeah, but there's nothing to say.
Is there any clause in the contract, is what I'm asking? Is there any, has anyone even checked that?
I can't answer
Will
that.
you come back to me and let me know?
Of course, yeah.
Now, the last time you committed to come back to us was in April when you were before the committee, and we haven't heard a dicky bird from you since. So I asked a number of questions that day. I didn't hear a word back since. That's 10 weeks ago. So you might take the committee a bit more seriously this time, please, because I didn't sense it the last time that we were taken seriously. Could I ask then as well, what did Dee Forbes tell you when she was questioned about these issues? Who approached her? And what did she say?
Once the Grant Thornton investigation started on, it was left over entirely to Grant Thornton and to Arthur Cox to discuss it with Dee. So I certainly didn't discuss it with her then.
Have you found out what her explanations were?
Anything that she explained would be in the Grant Thornton report.
And what advice was Dee Forbes referring to on Monday, and from whom was that advice received in her statement?
I have no idea.
I don't know. She would have received.
So that she always followed advice, but who was advising her?
I don't know. I mean, that's part of what's in the executive report, I guess, that there was advice received from legal when she was in negotiations of contracts. Yeah.
Can I just ask there, for the chair and the interim, have you or anybody here before Smarty used the barter account for corporate entertainment or travel? No. Has anybody here used it?
I have been involved in client entertainment where the barter account is used, and I have been host.
Okay, and could you give us an estimation of how much over the years you've been responsible for spending on that?
No, I would have to come back to you.
Will you come back to us with those details, with specifics?
Well, we've agreed that we're going to do look back at the whole 10 years previously.
And could I ask you as well, Charlie, did you resist efforts by your colleague, the CFO, to move the barter account onto the balance sheet?
Absolutely not.
In no way whatsoever, verbally or written?
Absolutely not. Completely agreed with them.
Okay. Can I ask if RT offers any discounts to advertisers?
Yes, that's part of how we do our business. Yes, we do offer
To what extent?
Well, we, in relation to over 90% of our business comes through media agencies, and we do deals with them. We do. They make annual commitments across all of their clients across all of our platforms, and then the clients within that get various discounts. And then there are also volume discounts, which maybe is what you're referring to, which are included in the contract, and if certain spend levels.
Why wouldn't you address, when you were asked by journalists last week to address the Sunday Independent story, why did you refer it to your legal representatives?
Because I had never been in this situation before. I was being inundated by journalists ringing my phone, and
you're in the situation because this is your job. Would it not be doing your job to answer questions?
No, I wanted to get advice. I
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure I represent my position correctly.
Okay. Do RT personnel derive any benefits from advertisers?
No.
No corporate events, no, like we're not talking cars here now, I'm talking any events, concert tickets.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of the job that I do is client and agency relationships. So yes, I have been brought to, a rugby match in the Aviva.
You call that deriving a benefit, so wouldn't you?
Would I call that a revenue benefit to go to a rugby match?
You might expand in writing to us subsequently the types of benefits that you have from advertisers.
We also do an annual declaration. I do an annual declaration every year where I state anything that I have received.
You might also clarify, which advertisers are receiving the discounts. Is that okay?
Well, all of our advertisers receive discounts. It depends on how much.
Well, how substantial are they? I mean, it would be important that we would know that.
So if I may, we issued a pretty strong response to the piece in the Sunday Independent, which we're happy to furnish the committee in relation to some of the things that were said about our commercial operations on Sunday.
If it could provide as much detail as possible, though, as well, specifics in relation to benefits that are derived by RTE personnel. Okay?
But I would just repeat that I do a statement every year as to anything I receive.
Yeah, and just also as well, could I ask then that the side letter in March 2020, now, bear in mind that the Taoiseach had spoken from Washington on the 12th of March, I think it was. So the 20th of March, the side letter arrived, and this was stating that RTE will guarantee an underwrite the commercial agreement. And then it's referred to in the report last night, there was some pushback. Who pushed back?
So that would have been legal advising around the risks of signing something like this.
Okay. That was it though. But I mean, bear in mind as well, did not red flags go up? We're in the middle of COVID. The country was absolutely paralysed by COVID at this stage, and yet you're agreeing to underwrite and guarantee this. Did the commercial director or director of content not see this as something that needed to be brought to the Audit and Risk Committee?
I was not, I'm the commercial director, and I was not aware of any underwriting commitment until
And
in the last
yourself,
2 weeks.
Mr. Collins?
I wasn't involved in those negotiations at all. I wasn't consulted on them. I wasn't asked for
Should you have
advice.
been? Should you have been?
Absolutely.
Were you asleep in the job? So,
No, I wasn't asleep. I wasn't involved. I wasn't asked to.
but do you need to ask? I mean, were you aware that this was going
Well,
on?
I was, as I said earlier, I was aware that RT were attempting to put an arrangement in place with
Okay.
a sponsor to help
Do you-
with the income. Can I just some background to this as well? You've got to
No,
remember
no,
when
sorry,
this was
no.
all happening.
That's okay. I accept your response. Could I ask all of you, do you accept that when the most recent figures were published, the top 10 earners in February, just not that long ago, that you would have all seen what Ryan Tubridy's figure was and would have known that that was wrong, and you did nothing and said nothing?
Absolutely not. I absolutely believe
No
that
one
was
knew
the
anything was
figure.
wrong. Mr. Collins, you're Chief Financial Officer, and you didn't know this was wrong, and you said it did nothing.
No, did
You
not.
you reject that?
Sorry.
And you reject that, and so there you.
As I've said previously, I was only aware of the 75 grand element. I never saw, was
quite
never
a-
discussed the.
There's quite a discrepancy there.
No, I was not aware of his overall
Yeah.
salary.
And will you commit, given the side of the house that I represent, the organisation that I'm in, the top 220 earners have their salaries published, would you maybe go a little bit further than the top 10, as was referred to earlier, and at least go to the top 100 or the top, everyone over 100,000? I think it's time now maybe, because in terms of rebuilding trust in the organisation, is this something you'll do immediately?
I think that, we can put it into any review, of course, and there's a whole set of actions we're now going to take. I'd just like to also say that in terms of publishing the top 100 or whatever, most people in RT are not paid a lot of money. That's a very important thing to say in terms of the staff. So, just to say that.
Could I just ask then as well, will there be a code of conduct, or is there a code of conduct, given that your top presenters have audiences regularly of hundreds of thousands of people, and are people of significant public influence, is there a code of conduct, or do you need a code of conduct, or do you need to upgrade it?
Yeah, there's an internal code of conduct in terms of behaviour, which is part of the staff manual.
Okay, can I ask, why did you switch from Deloitte to Grant Thornton, and do you not think that damages the reputation of Deloitte?
Do you want me to answer?
Yes.
I certainly don't intend to do that, and they've been our auditors for quite a while, and I've relied on them greatly. However, during the period that I've been on the board, Grant Thornton have already given me and the board specific advice about other things, and I find them incredibly reliable, and I find that they react very quickly. There's no intention to besmirch Deloitte in any way. It's just I've a better relationship with
Can I add
Grant
to
Thornton.
that, if you don't mind? Because the board is independent of the organisation, and it was the board who commissioned Grant Thornton to do this, just to be clear.
Could I ask, why was Dee Forbes not provided an opportunity to respond to the report that you issued last night?
So, yeah, and that's why we put it at the front, just to be clear, that other third parties.
We know what you did, but why
Yeah.
didn't you do it?
Yeah, that was about getting the information out to the public as quick as possible, but being sure enough of the facts.
But your organisation would know a bit about journalism. One of the
Yeah.
basic principles of journalism, you provide a right of reply, but you didn't in this case. Why is that?
No, we didn't.
Were you afraid of the response?
No.
No. And just going back to the resignation of Dee Forbes and you calling for that, do you now think it's a matter for yourselves to consider your own positions, having made such a monumental error in denying the people of the country an opportunity to have the questions that need to be answered? Do you not think now yourselves you've made such a massive error in this regard that you need to consider your own positions in the board?
I don't know what to say to you. Those were decisions that were taken.
Do you accept that that was a mistake now? The fact that me as a member and my colleagues don't have an opportunity to ask the questions we want to ask of the former DG because the resignation was accepted on Monday, remarkably 2 days before this hearing.
Yeah, and it wasn't for that that wasn't the motivation. I mean...
How do you think people feel though, looking in at that? It happens 2 days before the hearing, there's a resignation, and you accept it as a board. And then the following day, there's a damning report of the same person.
Well, the report came from the executive, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Our decisions taken around that were what we agreed as a board, because we felt that what had happened was shocking.
It was shocking. Everyone agrees what happened was shocking. It is shocking. What's going on is still shocking. But do you not accept that that was a huge error on your part because you've denied the people an opportunity for further interrogation in relation to this?
Well, I accepted her resignation, or the board accepted the resignation.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you,
no,
do you accept it was a monumental mistake on your part?
If that's your opinion, I'll accept
I've asked you a question. I didn't give you an opinion. I asked you, do you accept that it is? Do you either yes or no?
I said, if that's
you either agree with me or you disagree with me. Which is it?
Okay, so...
You'd do it again tomorrow, that's what I'm asking, would you?
Well, as I said already, the DG still has an opportunity to come before this committee.
You know that our remit only stretches so far. You know that well.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking you now, will you accept that you made a mistake or do you stand over your decision?
Well, I stand over the decision that the board took. Maybe in hindsight now, what you're saying that, you know, this was...
And did anyone in the committee...
We took the legal advice on it and that was what we did.
Did anyone in the board flag that actually maybe there would be some public scrutiny deserved by the people on this and that having the DG still in situ to answer questions would be a good idea? Did anyone think of that?
No.
Was that raised by anybody at the board?
We didn't talk about that, no.
Didn't talk about that because we don't matter to you and that is the bottom line. The people don't matter to you.
I don't think that's fair.
And the fact that 10 weeks ago you were before our committee, asked a number of questions, you didn't even come back to us since then. That's how much regard you have for the Oireachtas, that's how much regard you have for the people, and I think your actions this week in seeking the resignation and accepting the resignation sum that up.
And we will now move on. Can I call